just for something completely different, let's talk about something that I stuffed up. My own clutch on my 890. So I'll do a bit of an over-the-shoulder view of just how simple it is to get in and get the clutch where we can have a look at it and give you the background on it. I burnt it out 5 minutes into a 3-day ride. 30 minutes into a 3-day ride. Basically, I went up a track that I've been up before. Me and Neil have been up it before. We've done it multiple times. It's part of the KTM rally track, day 6, and I've done it in both directions multiple times, but I haven't done it since the storms that we've had, which were basically a couple of months of torrential rain and wind and storms and everything. And so as we were having breakfast sitting in Kilcoy, we all decided that we weren't going to do the track. But you know, the nature of riding this bike is it just makes you feel so good and so unstoppable and unconquerable that by the time we got there, I'd made up my mind that if Phil and I were in the lead, and oops, the recorder's battery just went flat. So yeah, I made the decision on the fly because I was feeling so good that we would zip up this track, which was a I don't know, maybe a 5-kilometre sidetrack. Unbeknownst to me, it was a lot worse than I had thought. It was all ground out at the start, and I got stuck in a couple of ruts, and in my excitement to get up to the good bits, I slipped the clutch at high revs rather than dumping the clutch and letting the back wheel get me up just to get up easier. And then there was a whole bunch of down trees. So in the top corner, I'll put a video of the track so you can see what it's like. I actually didn't have it on the bit where I was hard on my clutch. I actually turned it on after that, thinking that was over. But by that stage, I realised that the clutch lever was all the way out. So halfway up the hill, I loosened off my slack on the clutch lever. But in actual fact, that wasn't enough. So I was letting out as much slack as I could up the top, but that wasn't enough to allow the pressure plate, with the throw-out bearing that I'm just pointing to there, to let the pressure in, because the extended longer arm was actually coming back and hitting on the tank as I was letting the cable out. So I'd actually set it too far in, or actually too far out. I hadn't set the cable on the adjustment down the bottom far enough in, so I was too close to the tank to let it out. And with the leverage of that arm on the pull-out bearing, it wasn't allowing the clutch to have proper pressure. So I basically managed to get through the track, and what I'm doing here is just showing you the 2 ramps, for the throw out, and the power assisted clutch, the ramp there, which actually pulls the clutch in and gives it a lot of the pressure on the corresponding ramp inside the center of the clutch, where your metal plates are to clamp down. And with the arm touching the tank, it wasn't actually allowing it to do that and pull down, and so I was having some problems. I'll also, you can see that this clutch that I've got here is a nice yellowy browny kind of color. That is not the burnt clutch. This is the one that I've replaced replaced, and I put it in the bike and rode it to work and back because I wanted to run the high spots off it and do a few wheelies and make sure that this clutch was bedded in and that everything was right, because I want to measure this clutch pack versus the burnt out one, which I'll do. So the clutch pack, including the metal inners, was $285, which is $10 more than I pay for a rear tyre for the bike when I'm doing an adventure ride. So it's not exactly a huge drama to have to replace the clutch pack. I went for the OEM one myself because I've done a bit of research on the various options, including the recluse one, and I'm not sure that it's going to be needed for what I do. I'll also pull the clutch out of my 44,000 kilometre 790, which is in the shed, and compare that one. That's on the original clutch. That's never had anything done to it, and it's still well within the wear for that one. So yeah, it's a little bit of a pain that this one happened, and also that it happened right at the start of the trip, but managed to get through the whole 3-day ride just with a few adjustments here and there of the clutch arms. So it didn't turn out to be a game stopper. If I hadn't been aware of it and just kept revving it and kept trying to pop over logs and stuff like we were using the clutch, I can see how people can burn them out. I can see also if you haven't got it adjusted and your clutch arm is touching the tank, it would prevent the PASC system from clamping down like it should, and that could definitely damage your clutch. So yeah, I mean, I've always taken the point of showing you guys the clutch on my bike at the different intervals. So I don't mind showing you when I do something wrong, but this is totally my fault, not anything that the bike did wrong or anything. I set it up wrong. I used it wrong by using high revs and slipping the clutch. I was just trying to stay up on an edge and not have the wheel drop down into a rut. But yeah, I shouldn't have done that. So yep, let's have a look at the rest of it. So because I have them here, I thought it would be interesting. I can't actually find any specifications on the clutch packs, but if you have a look here, I've got the 790 clutch pack, which has done 44,000 kilometers, 40,000 Ks I did. Just for those who think maybe I burned out a clutch prematurely from something I did. So you can see the 790 had a straight clutch plate design where the friction plates went straight out. The 890 has more material on an angle. So this is the new set, and this is the toasted set. Let's have a peek and see if there's a major difference between them. So I've got the this zeroed out. So this is the 790 outer plate. Got to do it on a bit of an angle. So that's 3 millimeters. This is the new 890 set. So they're 3.1. Yeah, 3.1. And this is the toasty set. And they're 2.8. 2.8. Let's see if there's any difference on the metal friction plate. I doubt it. So they're 1.5. Yeah, 1.5. Yeah, they're all 1.5. So let's measure one of the bigger ones, the outer one. Three. On the angle. 3.1. Wow. 2.6, 2.7. Hmm. 2.6. All right. I think the best way to measure the difference is to measure the total difference in the total clutch packs, because with the multiplier of all of the packs being together, you're going to get a better idea of the true amount. So I've wiped all of these down with a paper towel to get them dry. So I'm going to push them together, and we've got 36.1, 36.2, 36.2. All together, nice crisp set. Push them together. $36.4. 36.4. And the toasty bunch. All together. Squeeze them. Oh, that's a big difference. So, about 34.7, 34.8. So 34.8 for the total pack. And if you have a look at the colour on these two, it's not too bad. So they're actually quite similar. they've got the same numbers on them, 302 for these outer friction ones, and on the inner ones, these are obviously a different design. So this pack's called KA3. This pack is KA3 A18. So they've got the same markings on them, but obviously different friction plate design and material. And you know, if we have a look at these two that I burned up, this doesn't just rub off, so you know, that's really baked in to the steel plates. And on these, you know, I can actually give it a bit of a rub, and they're carbonized, they're burnt. It's not just black on the outside. You know, these things have been hot. You know, I can't get, this is really rough sandpaper, and I can't get any clean color coming up there. You know, they're, and that's just wearing off under my, I mean, that's almost smooth there now. You know, they're carbonized and burned up and useless, and that's why my clutch was going away, and why I had to do an oil change and a bearing change. You know, even the bearing got hot. You can see the black on the edge, so the whole thing got hot. So it lost 2 millimeters, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 friction plates. Yeah, 8 friction plates, 2 millimeters, so 0.2 on average. But some of these, I think they lost a little bit more, some of these plates. So hard to get this right, so 2.6, 2.7. Yeah, so that's on some of them 0.5 millimeter difference. And I don't know why these ones at the back didn't seem to be worn as much as these ones at the front, up where the slipper clutch end is. So that's pretty much the long and the short of it for that. 36.2 for the set that's done 44,000 kilometers, 36.4 for the new set on the 890, and 34.8 on the older toasty black edition, special black edition. No one wants those. So that's the clutch plates. So you can spin up your clutch with this cover off if you want to have a look at how everything is, because it doesn't make oil pressure until 3,000 RPM of any significance. Okay, so I start by bringing this further out to give me more slack up at the adjuster end up here. So this thread is actually quite long, and I make sure it's about a third of the way in, so it's down to about there, and tighten that off. That's before I adjust anything. Down at this end, and then coming in down this end, bring the camera down. So what I want to do down here is turn this screw so that it's now taking up the tension inside, because going that way is going to pull the clutch out. So I've taken the tension up by turning this anti-clockwise, and I push the arm up. But you can see now where I've got it, there's heaps of room here now before it can touch the tank. So I can come out maybe 10 degrees before it touches the tank, which is by letting the slack off up at the lever end. So yeah, I tighten that to take up this tension, get the arm in the right place by pushing it away from me with the it's no good, went up. So it needs to be down. So now I don't have to have tension on it, and right now I've got about 5 millimeters of movement down here, which is free play before the cable is at its adjustment. So that's actually pretty darn good, purely by chance. So I'll just torque this little nut up, and we're good to go. I'll show you the slack up at the lever end. So that's all free play, and now I've got plenty of room up here that I can adjust, undo this nut, the locker, wind it in, and get the free play exactly where I want it. Because up at this end, I want to have about 10 mils before it's even feeling like it's starting to disconnect the clutch. So I'll just give that a little bit more. So that's about where I aim for. And now I've got plenty of adjustment here that I can let it in a little bit further. But you want to have that, which is its ability to heat up a little bit, because the clutch plates are alloy, including the 3 small friction plates on the recluse system. They're alloy, and they are going to expand. So as they heat up, they'll expand, and if they take up all the slack in the pack and get to the point where you know, they've expanded that much, you're effectively taking up your slack at the lever end, and it's like you are pulling in the clutch slightly. So of course it's going to slip more, and then that creates this cascading effect where all the plates in the whole pack heat up. So it's like you're holding the clutch in, so you always have to have the ability to be able to let more slack out up at the top so that the full clamping pressure is there, and then when you're accelerating, the PASC, the power assisted part of that, is actually clamping down harder. Well, it can't clamp down harder if you've taken up all the slack in the system. It's because you're pulling on the pull-out bearing. You're actually pulling up against it on the pressure plate, and you're not allowing it to clamp down. So then that causes it to slip even more. All right, so at the start I said that I managed the clutch problem, and as you can see from the little shot of the track up the top, eventually it did open out, but it was quite a grind getting through and under and around trees that were down and over logs, and I whipped my nose and got a nice bloody nose from it. So yeah, the reality of managing it is just once you realize that you've got an issue with your clutch like this, is to make sure that you're continuously adjusting it so that you've got slack up at your lever end. And that meant a couple of times, actually once each day, just moving the clutch arm a little bit to give me a little bit more, and I eventually ended up giving it more free play down the bottom. Oh, sorry, less free play down the bottom. I moved the cable further out so that the arm was further out away from the tank, so I had more adjustment. I mean, I wasn't doing burnouts or wheelies or anything crazy, and I knew that my clutch wasn't great, but it didn't interfere with the trip. I could also tell that my throw-out bearing there was a little bit cooked. It was not as smooth feeling as normal, but when you're on a 3-day trip and you've stuffed up, and believe me, I by this stage well and truly knew that I'd stuffed up. You do what you do to manage the trip and still have a good time. We ended up rolling into town on the first night about 7:45 after having to transfer gas to another bike, and numerous dead ends and bikes falling over and all kinds of things. But that's an adventure for that video. So I'll get that one edited after this. But I just thought it would be interesting. People think that this is a catastrophic clutch failure type issue, and really, if you're aware of it and you know how to manage it, and you're on top of it. I mean, we still did 3 600-kilometre days after this, and thanks to my riding buddies who were a bit patient with me after I pulled up at the end of Monsidale Road. They were waiting for 45 minutes, and I admitted totally my stuff up, and I hadn't even turned on my inReach, so they reckon they were waiting another couple of minutes when they heard us coming. But we still had a good trip, still had a fun 3-day trip, and just a case of, if you understand this and you know a little bit better what's going on, hopefully if you ever get into the same type of situation, you can manage it yourself and make sure, I carry the tools to be able to adjust all this stuff. And it's not hard once you have a basic understanding of it. So thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up or comment or subscribe to the channel or whatever, and we'll see you on the adventure.
And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see some more of these videos. There's a couple more coming up and a few more bits and pieces, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Cheers.